And we're back here at Iona College. We're talking some sports. We're talking specifically this faction of sport, hockey. We're going to talk about some Golden Knights, some, and some more. Okay?
What?
I said some way too much, so I wanted to make it pretty...
We're talking about the rise.
If you force out the mistakes and make it aware to everyone, then you know what happens? People laugh. All right, let's talk about... Are we going to talk about the biggest news in hockey right now?
We're talking about the rise, the fall, and the rise again of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going to talk about the biggest news in sports. But there's a lot more to this story than just the team, obviously. But
of course.
Yeah, but let's talk about the team specifically first. They are looking like, correct me if I'm wrong, the second best team in hockey right now. And... No, they're looking like the second best team.
It's 5 games, though. Can we really say that?
Right now, okay. Hot take. Second best team in hockey right now, behind...
You don't believe that, though. It's a hot start. 2 games against Arizona, 1 game against Dallas. So not.
What are you saying, 1 game against Dallas?
Okay,
like
sorry. Let me rephrase that. 1 game against Dallas, where Ben Bishop gets hurt and Letton comes in.
Okay. Karen Letton's terrible. All right, and Anthony Niemi's also terrible.
Yeah.
He's on the Penguins.
He's been horrible for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Every time he comes in, like 10 goals.
Yeah.
Literally.
And Matt Murray hasn't been that much better.
Literally.
Murray's been pretty bad too, and that's a little bit of a problem. I think. What does he have? 2 wins, Murray, and he has 5 starts.
Yet they still sit in second in the Metro.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, weak division.
Oh, what?
This year.
Metro, best division in hockey. That's not going to change.
Really?
I'm sorry. I hate the
front runners clearly.
Listen.
We have 2 front runners clearly, and then we have a shock team this year.
Listen.
And the Metro didn't know. The Metro division is run by the Penguins and the Capitals. Always.
I hate the Rangers, but when they're the worst team in that division, obviously it's not a bad division.
Listen to me. The Rangers are having a bad year right now. It's only 5 games.
It's only 5 games, but that's the team I predicted to be bad. Those are the guys and the Sharks, and I got both right so far.
Okay, but the Sharks... all right, when you look at the Sharks here, it's a lack of scoring, or is it the goaltender who's been terrible? It's both.
Martin Jones has not been as bad as you said.
Martin Jones has 4 losses.
Aaron Dell's lost 2 of those games. He lost to the Islanders, and he lost one of the game early in the season. Not a back-to-back.
Jones is not doing good this year. And he's supposed to be great. Aaron Dell was supposed to be good too.
He was.
And he's not that either, and they're not scoring, and there's so many factors for the Sharks. But let's go back to the Golden Knights. A hot take, second best team in hockey, clearly the best team in hockey this year, in my opinion, is that top line of Chicago is literally unstoppable.
How did you get to Chicago?
I'm just saying, that's why I'm comparing the 2 teams. I'm saying that Chicago is the best team in hockey, and if you doubt that, then you're crazy. That top line is ridiculous. Brandon Saad's been amazing. Probably the best trade in Chicago Blackhawks history.
But the only team I would say competes with Chicago is not Vegas. The season just started. If you want to be real, L.A. L.A. is back. They're 4-0-1. They've been amazing. Jonathan Quick is back.
Jonathan Quick is... Yeah, well, he's back.
Jeff Carter is back. Andre Kopitar is back. Drew Doughty is back.
You know who's not back?
The team is back.
You know who's not back?
I don't care about Alex Martinez.
No. Tyler Toffoli is terrible. What happened to that 30-goal season 2 years ago?
That was a fluke.
Yeah, it's looking bad for him.
But when you have all those veterans coming back, you have all those veterans playing the way they need to play, LA is a good team again.
LA is a good team again, but stamina. Okay, we don't know if they have it. That's the whole problem. We don't know if they're going to have the stamina to compete with teams for the whole year. They're old. They're still old. They're going to be old for a while until they start something new.
But they don't need to start something new if they're playing like this.
Yeah, that's true, but there's always going to come a point where you look at it and you go, wow, we look more like a retirement home a la the Arizona Cardinals than a hockey team. So there's going to be change soon, but for right now, looking great. Obviously, you have the opinion that it's only 5 games. Mm-hmm. You could say that for the Kings, too. You could also say that for the Golden Knights. But the Golden Knights are driven by something terrible happening. They're doing it for the people there. They've been a great team. James Neal
has 6 goals.
Yeah, James Neal doesn't look like, James Neal on Nashville. James Neal looks like a brand new player. Brand spanking new. Who cares about age? He's like, you know what? I'm going to fall on my face and still score this goal.
And talking about
ridiculous
specifically last night where they went to 4-1-0, the rise, the fall, and the rise again of the Vegas Knights. When I say that, I'm talking about the great start they've had. The Vegas Knights, 3-0 to start the year. Then they lose a game, and the fall would be Marc-Andre Fleury getting hurt, has a concussion right now. But the rise again is the top prospect for the Bruins, the guy who everyone said would be great, Malcolm Subban, comes out last night in his first start on the team, gets his first career win against his former team, and he almost got a shutout. He gave up a goal to Pasternak with 30 seconds left. But that team was incredible last night, and that made me believe a little bit that they are good.
Yeah, and Subban was shockingly good last night.
Yeah,
like,
and
very good.
Subban's been a guy that's come up and down a million times. I think he started about 7 games for the Bruins.
Yeah.
Well, that was last night with his first career win.
And it's sort of looking like that Berube, because we were talking about this on the ride up, Berube might get a start or two. Because who's their backup goalie when Subban's in?
Berube's not even on Vegas anymore.
Oh, he's not?
I told you that the Islanders made a trade with Vegas so they would claim Berube in the expansion draft.
So then who's their backup
But
goalie?
Berube was cut right after that. Then he went to the Blackhawks, and then he was cut again.
Wait, so who's the backup goalie for the Golden Knights without Fleury and Subban?
Honestly, with Calvin Pickard gone and Fleury injured, their backup goalie might be someone they drafted this year.
Yeah. All right, well, that situation's going to be a tough one, but for now the Golden Knights are looking good. You cross that bridge when you get to it.
And Vadim Shipstikov, he scored.
I know that is. I really don't think that. Listen,
We're not doing a Hischler thing again.
no, Hischer and Shipakov, I think is
It's a Y-O-V. It's not a Shipakov.
Shipakov.
I actually said it right. I looked it up.
Shipakov.
It's Shipakov. Pakyav.
There's no G in his name.
You make me say it wrong now.
Okay, stop saying it.
Shipakov.
Yeah, he scored a goal last night.
No, that was his first career goal in the NHL. Alex Tuch also his first career in the NHL. The rookies for Vegas that they got in this expansion draft outside of Shea Theodore, they're playing better than their old teams.
Yeah.
They've all had chances before. All of a sudden, they come together on Vegas. They're playing really well.
Yeah, it's sort of this like new revolution. Everybody, when that expansion draft was happening during the award show, everybody was like, not me, not me, not me, not me. Now everybody's probably saying, I wish that was me, because the Golden Knights, there's just something that feels good about them.
And I told you this before, and I still believe it. The Golden Knights are not a bad team because, yes, they don't have a superstar player, but they have. He's not a superstar. He's a very good player. Very good player. He's the best player in the Knights, but he's not a superstar.
Yeah, this is scarily similar to.
Well, let me get to my point.
Okay, go ahead.
My point's good. My point is, yes, they don't have a superstar, but because of the expansion draft, because of the way it was done, they were able to take a middle-tier player from every team in the NHL. You put all those middle-tier players together, you don't have any below-average players on your team. All of a sudden, you have a really balanced roster. You have guys like Jonathan Marisol and Cody Eakin and David Perron and Luke Sabisa. You put these guys together, obviously, you're going to be a good team. You're going to be a team that has a chance to be the 8th seed because you don't have any bad players.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that scares me about this, right, is that this sort of reminds me of like the Marian Hossa Atlanta Thrashers. You know, like
it's the Ilya Kovalchuk.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I love Ilya Kovalchuk.
But Hossa was on the team too.
He was.
And it was great on the
so
team.
was Brian Little.
Yeah. But here's the problem with what I see. I feel like the Knights are going to last a lot longer than the Thrashers. But
I mean, look at the markets. Vegas, even if they don't get like their own fans, which they already are because of their Twitter account, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Because they're coming out strong because of the situation, sadly.
Yeah, like I mean, if you look at the Thrashers, they weren't in the situation obviously that the Golden Knights are in this year, but when they started, obviously the Thrashers were it was terribly built from the beginning. That's why they failed.
Yeah.
But
even though their powder blue jerseys were amazing.
Yeah, they had some really cool jerseys. Obviously, a cool logo. But the problem with them, maybe I'm thinking cynically, but I think that might be an expedited process for the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are competitive in their first year, which could be a good sign and a bad sign for a team, because if you're competitive in your first year, that means you're not going to get the pick to get a superstar eventually.
Yeah.
But if you're bad in the first year, you have the chance of losing the franchise completely. Fans lose hope. Nobody comes. Lose money. Bankrupt. Gone.
But to go against your point, well, I don't agree with that because every team is usually bad in the first year. Vegas is a huge exception. But to go against your point, in the expansion draft last year, a lot of teams made trades with Vegas to make sure their guys weren't taken. And because of that, Vegas was able to stockpile draft picks. So they do have $1 billion draft picks coming up for the next year. Some of those first rounders, some of those second rounders. So if they ever wanted to move up in the draft, it would not be hard.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard. But the reason why I compare this to the Thrashers is because it's sort of, that's the last expansion team that failed, really, in pretty much any sport. It's in any of the major four sports. That's like the Sonics weren't an expansion team, but they failed, and they wound up
eventually
moving to
failed
OKC.
to get a basketball team again. So.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different because hockey is a hugely different market than any other sport. Hugely different fan bases. The fan bases are way more, in my opinion,
hardcore.
Yeah, it's like your blood brothers with the sport, really.
Yeah,
and
much more connection.
Obviously, that was never there in Atlanta. You know, the furthest they ever got was the first round in the playoffs. This is going to be, I think, this year. If the Golden Knights pull off a playoff spot, it's probably going to be a first round exit because they're not built to win yet. Yeah. They're not built to win. They have a great goalie.
Honestly, like I said before, it is early. I don't really think they're making the playoffs this year, but they don't have a bad roster, and it's something they could build on. And I think
it's hope. There's a lot of hope.
That eventually they could be a prominent playoff team year after year, a lot faster than any other expansion team.
Yeah, and I don't think this fire that's in these players right now is going to burn out anytime soon. I really think they're playing for Vegas, and the video,
not to root for that.
Yeah, and the video that they played in their first off, that franchise was run perfectly.
Yeah.
They didn't put any ads on the boards. They just put Vegas strong. They had lights on the floor with the names of every victim that was murdered.
And they had
in
58
Vegas.
Seconds of silence for the 58 victims of.
Yeah, 59, but it's okay. And
58. We're not counting.
What?
58. We're not counting that one.
Oh, okay, fine. But the whole thing is they really it's just a masterfully run franchise organization. What they did for that community, what they're still doing for that community, I have to give they're brand new, and to be plunged in a situation that difficult, and this is not undermining the difficulty of what the families are going through in Vegas, but they're handling it masterfully. They're helping everybody there, and they're helping the victims' families. They're just doing so much.
And this is exactly what I said in one of my blogs for class, where because of what's going on, I said if the Vegas Golden Knights got off to a hot start, people were going to support them. People were going to get behind them because of the situation. It's almost like 9/11 all over again.
Yeah, and
no, I'm serious.
You sound like a politician.
I'm serious. Where the Yankees, they made the playoff run of the World Series in 2001, and every single person, whether they were a Yankee fan or not, got behind the Yankees.
Yeah, and it's hard to say you dislike this franchise when they're doing what they do. When they do what they're doing.
Plus, it's impossible to dislike a team that's brand new because they've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, and there's so much props I want to give to the players of that team for what they're saying to support these families, to what they're saying to support the town as a whole. They're doing a great job, and that's all sports is. And to transcend the whole situation about how good the Golden Knights are doing, that's what sports are.
Yeah.
They're an escape. They're entertainment to watch, somebody that you could get behind, somebody that you could support, and it means so much, and I'm talking about any sports team, whenever any sports team does this, to come out and support the people that have been supporting them.
And it's not only because of tragedies, like if somebody passes away who was a lifelong fan of a certain team, their family, their relative.
McDonald, with the Rangers, the former police officer McDonald.
Yeah.
From many accounts, I met him once. Obviously I don't know enough about him to say anything about him, but I heard he was an amazing man, inspirational, and when unfortunately he passed away, the Rangers wore a patch on their arm just for that one man. So it's just crazy. These sports teams know what to do. They really do, and it means a lot when you support the communities around you.
It does.
So, moving on from something that's really hard to bridge away from.
Trying to get a little more locally, but obviously we're going to talk about the Golden Knights a lot this season.
Yeah.
Being their first season.
This is not going to be the last time we talk about them.
Golden Knights going to be a big topic on this show.
Huge topic. And I'm excited to see where they go. I really am.
Moving a little more locally, though, I mean, I would consider New Jersey Devils to be a local team.
Yeah, they're
on MSG. A lot of Devil fans still, sadly. I don't get it. But the Devils actually have had the best start out of any New York team. I guess I'll call them a New
No,
York
they're
team.
not a New York team. They're a
New York
tri-state area team.
There you go, tri-state area.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word.
But they oh my God, they're doing great.
4-1-0.
I mean, they're doing what they were supposed to do last year, to be honest. But
I mean, I don't even think they were supposed to do it this year.
you don't.
I didn't think
they were
were
supposed to be good last year. They were supposed to be good last year.
Well, it's because of two guys, the rookies, and I'm not talking about Nico. You could say it.
Hischer.
It's Hischler.
There's no L. Continue. Just we're not doing this again. Go.
Nico Hischer and Pavel Zacha were the two big prospects.
It's not them. But
Let me get to it.
Let me say one name. Jesper Bratt.
Yeah, because you picked him up.
You say the next name.
And the other one, the bigger one, is Will Buchner.
Yeah, oh yeah, the defenseman.
Yeah.
Crazy. I think he has 3 goals and 1 assist.
No.
No,
He has 8 assists.
8 assists.
No goals, but he has 8 assists. That leads all defensemen.
Oh, I'm thinking of
Brett, right?
Yeah, Brad has 3 goals and 1 I think he has 3 goals and 2 assists. He came out like a, no pun intended, bat out of hell for the Devils, and he's cooled off obviously the past 2 games. He's still young, he's a rookie, but to come out that way and to basically keep you're probably going to be on the roster for a while now.
Of course. I mean, I honestly think that it would have been 9 games for him and then back to the juniors. But the way he's playing, you can't get rid of him.
No, you can't.
He's been playing great. And before you wanted to yell out Jesper Bratt because you got him in fantasy, yay. I was saying that Pavel Zacha and Nico Hischer, those were the 2 guys, the 2 rookies everyone expected something out of, not Bratt and Buchner. I mean, Buchner won the Hobie Baker Award, or he was a finalist or something. He, obviously people thought big things of him, but it's Zacha who was the number 1 prospect, and Hischer was the number 1 pick in the draft that everyone expected it out of, not Jesper Bratt, who came out of nowhere, and Buchner, who's a defenseman who wasn't supposed to be this much of an offensive impact.
To say this about Hischer, though, it's like, I watched him play, and he has energy, he has skill, he's very talented with the puck, that's undoubtable, but he's not scoring, he's not getting on the score sheet.
But he looks good out there. He almost looks like a Josh Hosang out there, but he's not getting the points of a Josh Hosang.
Yeah, but he's also a better defenseman than Josh Hosang. He was the number 1 pick.
You're talking about Hischer, that's not a defenseman.
No, I'm saying...
at defense?
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, you said it wrong.
Yeah. He's better at... Excuse me. He's a better defenseman, meaning he's better at defense.
Better defensive forward.
Yes. And
there you go.
Nobody's Jonathan Toews, but Josh Hosang is literally the furthest thing away from
Nobody's Jonathan Toews except Patrice Bergeron, who's better than Jonathan Toews.
Jonathan Toews is the best 2-way forward in the league. That's a matter of
opinion. There's a reason that Bergeron went to Frank J. Selk more than Toews.
Okay. I ask anybody, and the opinion is it's either Jonathan Toews or Patrice Bergeron.
Oh yeah,
that's
I
an
agree
opinion.
with that.
I think Jonathan Toews is a better 2-way forward than Patrice Bergeron,
and
especially this year. Especially this year. Watch games. You watch Jonathan Toews, he is racking up the points. You watch Patrice Bergeron, he's not.
But we're talking about defensive forward.
Okay, but Jonathan Toews does both 2-way forward.
But Bergeron does it better.
Okay, but why is he not of it? All right, points. Not a game, points.
Sticking with the Devils, Taylor Hall obviously always going to be great. He's got 3 goals, 2 assists this year.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But
terrible trade.
You know who's back this year, and you love the guy, Adam Henrique.
Adam Henrique,
point per game basis. I know it's been 5 games, but just seeing that out of him makes me think that the old Adam Henrique can return. Remember, this is a guy that put up 50 points twice.
Yeah, he was basically the person that I wanted to compare him to. He's as integral to his team as Derek Brassard once was for the Rangers.
Okay, and I was going to say Franz Nielsen to the Islanders.
Yeah, it's really like that. Franz Nielsen was he was more of a culture guy. He would bring a culture to the team, and he would play very well.
Franz Nielsen was a poor man's Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, and Derek Brassard was the same way for the Rangers. Obviously, it didn't work out in his first year in Ottawa, but he's looking a lot better this year.
Scored twice in the last 3 games, I think.
So, yeah, he's looking a lot better this year. I think those types of players are extremely important. I love Adam Henrique. I think he's going to probably score around 40 points this year.
But just like the Vegas Golden Knights, I know it's been great for the Devils so far, but I'm going to say the same thing. Temper your expectations as a Devils fan, because the future is great for this team, but I don't think it's there yet. And Corey Schneider's an amazing goalie. If the offense doesn't back him up, he won't be. And they have so far, but can they keep it up?
Yeah, and it's not only a matter of offense in that regard. Obviously, Schneider needs needs people in front of him, and the defense has been holding up relatively well. So
And
There's
every
not
time we
really-
talk about the Devils, shout out to Long Island's own Keith Kincaid.
Okay.
You gotta.
Okay, let's move on to real New York teams. And I don't even want to say real New York teams.
Because
but
they've both struggled.
yeah, see, struggle is past tense. Our struggling is present tense, and that's what they're doing. The Rangers look absolutely... Let me just put it this way. The king is dead. We need a coup. They look like trash. Henrik Lundqvist looks horrible. Pavlik looks... Oh my god. Like the goalie coach did his magic on Ronta. He did his magic on Cam Talbot.
Everyone was not you, but everyone was so excited about Pavlik, saying he was a great backup. He's terrible.
Yeah, it was like he did, because work your magic on Ronta, pretty good. Great. Work your magic on Talbot. You turn him into a good goalie. Now he's the starter in Edmonton. Now he's terrible this year, but we won't talk about that. But you work your magic on Pavlik. Everybody's like, yeah, then we can have another backup goalie that we could trade for picks again and just keep getting picks and picks and picks and picks. And the only thing we're hearing is ping from the bar because so many pucks are going into the net behind Pavlik and Lundqvist. Terrible.
Literally,
Absolutely
the only bright spot
terrible.
on that team has been Kevin Shattenkirk coming over.
No, that's...
Shattenkirk has been
Mika
good.
Zibanejad has been a great top-line center. He has defied expectation, but that doesn't mean that the Rangers are good. The Rangers are bad.
Shattenkirk leads that team in points, and he's playing just as good as ever.
Yeah.
That was a good signing, but that's not enough.
Yeah, obviously it's not enough. The Rangers are the typical team that is denying a rebuild. They don't want to say they're going to rebuild, but they need a rebuild.
But they keep throwing people like Rick Nash out there who has one goal in the season.
Yeah, okay, but...
That's it. No assist, one goal.
Okay.
He's old. He was bad last year.
He was not bad.
Struggling this year?
No, he
Yes,
was
he
not
was.
bad. No, he played
Did he
okay last
what did he
year.
score? Did he score 25?
I think he had 45 points last year, which is good.
Which is not Rick Nash. Rick Nash is getting old.
Yeah, well, Rick Nash was never supposed to score 80
Rick
points
Nash
for the
is putting up
Rangers.
the production of Marion Gaborik now.
Okay.
That's horrible.
Okay. Listen, it's horrible, yeah, for the amount of money he's getting, but that team is just, as a whole, needs to perform.
And I agree with that. As a whole, here's a fun fact for you. How many Rangers do you think haven't had a point this year?
6.
6? 9.
9.
9 Rangers don't have a point. That's rough.
Jesus.
When you have 9 guys in your lineup that have yet to either have an assist or hit the back of the net, clearly something needs to be done. Call up some guys, make some trades, bench some guys. It's just, they're not... Alain Vigneault is not a great coach. He never has been, he never will be.
That's not true.
He's there
He's not
because
a
of the
good
consistency
coach.
of this team. The way this team is built by the general manager has always been successful. Now that you don't have the best roster in the world, Vigneault is not the guy for the job.
Yeah, and the question is who's brought in. Why did we fire Tortorella?
That's a while ago now.
I know, but I loved him. Look what he's done to Columbus.
Well, he's a no-nonsense coach.
Yeah, and
It works.
he's made competitive teams and whatever.
The
Whatever with
Islanders,
Tortorella,
moving on
that's
to
the whole
them,
thing.
they're more of a product of their schedule than they are bad. I mean, they're stuck on the West Coast trip right now. 2 of their losses are on that trip in Anaheim and LA last night. And the other loss was, I'm pretty sure it was in Columbus, start season 5-0.
Yeah.
So, if
And
the
Columbus has
Islanders
been on a tear.
have that hard of a schedule, obviously things are going to get easier, things are going to get better. I'm not too worried about them right now, even though my expectation for them are also low.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about the Islanders. They have a bright future with some of the players that they have right now.
Well, they have no future if JT leaves. So,
All right. They have a bright future with some of the players that they've brought up now. They have a goalie that could be middle of the pack. They have a
well, it depends which one you're talking about.
Grice.
I think
obviously.
Halak's the better goalie on the roster.
Okay, but
And he's not middle of the pack.
who's the starter?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Nobody
So,
knows.
But the whole thing is like
Doug Wade doesn't even know.
that's the whole problem with the team is obviously the middle of the pack goalies that they have. I just don't know if that's gonna work for them.
I mean, it worked for them 2 years ago when they won the first playoff series in 23 years, which I think I said on this show about 23 times, which proves there's nothing to talk about the Islanders besides their past.
Yeah.
They need to push forward. And with the roster they have, they should be pushing forward, and they're just not.
I mean, the Islanders have the capability of scoring. They signed Eberle.
Everly's yet to score this year. I wanted to get to that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's 6 games in for the Islanders, and I know that's not that many games. But if you're playing online with Tavares, and you're 6 games and you need to have a goal by now.
What is this proving, though? Who should be on that line?
Hosang.
Yep. So
And you're
there's
not
the
the biggest
problem.
Hosang supporter, and you're even saying it.
I'm not, because I think Eberle was a terrible signing. I said it back then, and I'm saying it now.
Trade. It
Trade.
definitely was a terrible trade.
Trade.
He's a lot better than
Definitely.
Ryan Strome. Even the media in Edmonton is saying Ryan Strome is one of the worst hockey players they've ever seen.
That's interesting. Why? Wait, but the Strome family, I don't know.
The
I
Strome
don't
family
know.
is so hyped, and they're
Yeah.
never good.
Yep.
Dylan Strome sent down to the minors.
Yep.
Ryan Strome is playing fourth-line minutes right now when he was supposed to play with Connor McDavid this year. And Matthew Strome, I don't even know. I think he was drafted by the Capitals, and he just fell to the 4th round, so
Yeah. It's the Strome curse.
pretty much.
Yeah. But the Islanders are they are what they are right now, and that's 2-3-1.
The Stromes are like, hey, look at me, I could dangle the puck, and then when it's time, they get hit and they can't dangle.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Talking about dangling, let's talk about the rookies here. I want to talk a little bit about Nolan Patrick. I know we're going a little off topic talking about a specific player, but Nolan Patrick's been okay.
Before we get to that, I want to stick with another dangler, obviously, Hosang. You brought him up already.
Listen,
but,
I don't want to talk about
but
Josh Hosang.
listen, yeah, because you hate the guy. I don't know why. I want to talk about what Doug Wade said about Hosang, and I want your opinion on it. Doug Wade said about Hosang that when he's on the ice, there's always an opportunity for someone to score, whether it be our team or their team. And that kind of goes with what you said about defense, but it also goes with him making tons of mistakes and turning over the puck. And when your coach is calling you out for that, clearly you're being exposed.
To summarize it easily, it's what scores goals? Flash or a good shooter?
Flash does score goals, but Flash also causes goals.
Yeah, so
That's basically what
okay.
they're getting at.
How many? Listen, there's people that have natural flash, natural skills, natural dangling ability, and that's Connor McDavid, that's Sidney Crosby. Those are those people that could make you look stupid on the ice. And Josh Hosang is not them. Josh Hosang's not them. And the person who's embraced that, the person who's moved on from being, hey, look at me, I'm a dangler, is Nolan Patrick, who's a power forward,
Yeah.
who's been playing pretty good. He hasn't scored as much as everybody.
Okay.
No, he's actually hitting. His presence is always felt on the ice,
Well,
even
this
though
is
it's
what I
not
said on
always
the radio
shown on
about
the
2
score
weeks
sheet.
ago when I said that Nolan Patrick is not the guy who's going to go out and score 50 goals.
No.
He's the guy who's going to go out and get 50 hits, 50 steals, 50 I mean, that's who he is. He's a physical player.
Yeah, he's a very physical player, but I think he has the capability. Like, he's more of a. I don't know. Like, who is he comparable to in the NHL? I hate doing comparisons, but like he's more of like
Max Pacioretty, maybe?
no,
Someone like that?
no. I think
Maybe
think
like a
he has
Ryan
the capability-
Getzlaf?
Yeah, like a Getzlaf type guy, except a little bit more capable of scoring goals.
Or like a guy on his own team, Claude Giroux.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but Claude Giroux is like the type of guy that can make people look stupid on
And
the
Patrick's
ice.
not that guy.
No.
Patrick,
not.
honestly, Nolan Patrick's like a Brent Burns before he moved to defense.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's somebody. That's actually a good comparison because when you look at it, he's big, towering. He hits. He scores. Brent Burns has been terrible this year. Sorry, tangent, but Nolan Patrick is that type of player. Nolan Patrick could hit. His presence is always felt on the ice. I can't repeat that enough. He's a good player, but these rookies, it's not the rookie class that Connor McDavid was in. It's not going to be immediately just bam impact.
Well, the rookie class that McDavid was in, the third pick in the... Actually, that's wrong. The third pick in the Matthews draft, though, is a guy close to our hearts. Pierre-Luc Dubois is on Columbus now. He's scoring goals, and we got to talk about him because he's another rookie who could get the call to the way he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with Pierre-Luc Dubois is he's a little bit small. He's not that type of guy that's like brooding. He's sort of the opposite of Nolan Patrick, but he's been making an impact.
It's surprising because I didn't think he was ready. He's still only 19 years old.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that. He's not... Connor McDavid's one guy who can come in the league at 19 and just terrorize it. Same thing with Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Dubois wasn't the guy I expected to do it, and he really has. He has 3 goals already.
Yeah, and you know, it's impressive. It's obviously impressive. You have these, you're always going to have that talent disparity in rookies. You're going to have the guys who are ready to make an impact at 19, and then you're going to have the guys that aren't ready until they're like 21, 22, and then you're going to have the guys that never become ready.
Like Michael Dowcall.
Yeah, so there's obviously, drafting is never a guarantee. Drafting is like playing the lotto, and when you hit and you hit big, Connor McDavid, like Austin Matthews, like those players, when you hit big. And unfortunately, the rookie class looks weak this year. It's just how it is. It's how it's playing out. And we're going to have to see. Obviously, the season just started, but from what I'm seeing so far, presence can be felt on the ice, but players are virtually non-existent on the score sheets.
Yeah. And by the way, last time we did hockey, we did the predictions, and it went a little long, it got a little boring. But I think if we end right here on hockey, then perfect. We end at the right time.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Okay.
To commercial break.
All right. We'll be back, and we'll be talking about... What are we talking about, Jake?
Football, not
Football.
soccer.
Football. American football. We'll be back.